Hey guys, so today's video is going to be about the brands that I think fell off, mainly in 2021 because we're now in 2022. But some brands that were kind of falling off before then. I think there's obviously like a trend, a pattern of falling off that lasts more than a year. But I'd say now that, like, in my eyes, in my opinion, and on the internet, I'd say on social media, these brands, like, now that it's 2022, those brands have fallen off. Of course, there are probably still people that go to the drugstore, go to Sephora and Ulta and still buy these products, mainly if they're not like big on social media, like they don't really care what's popular, trendy, they don't care what TikTok is telling them to buy. They're probably still buying these products, but in the grand scheme of like, is this the it brand now? Probably not. Now, if you have any other brands that you think have fallen off in 2021 or just in general, leave them in the comments and I might do a part 2. And let's just get into it. I don't know if I should start with the obvious, but I might just start with the obvious. BH Cosmetics is actually, well, no, not filing. They have filed for bankruptcy. If you guys don't know, BH Cosmetics, drugstore brand, they make a lot of like affordable products. I know that eyeshadow palettes have been raved about. They have some face palettes that are really liked. They're like a combination of like blush, you know, highlight, bronzer, etc. Those do like really cute themes. I know they had like a travel theme where they had like different palettes of like visiting Tokyo and like LA and Spain and wherever, you know, wherever people wanted to go, and they had palettes to go with each of those destinations. And they had some some food related stuff, not fruit. They had like mimosas and avocado toast and just a bunch of different, blueberry muffin I think was like a really popular palette. But I started noticing this a while ago. So I have this like video that I do, which is like items that are on sale, and I talk about why I think makeup is on sale. And BH Cosmetics is always on sale. Like, even if they release new makeup, it still always ends up on like a 30% discount. So I personally wouldn't ever buy BH Cosmetics full price because I just don't think it's worth it, because you can get it on a discount pretty much immediately as it drops. So I've seen this trend for a while now, and we could have seen it coming. I don't think anyone really talks about BH Cosmetics. I've heard a few things, but nothing really major. Like, no one's really like raving about BH Cosmetics. They have some good reviews, and that's about it. So they've recently filed for bankruptcy, which in my opinion is like the definitive sign of a brand falling off, is when they have to file for bankruptcy. Obviously, they could still bounce back. People could still start buying their makeup and they wouldn't have to be bankrupt anymore. But as of right now, they do not have enough money to like sustain themselves or pay taxes, hence why they had to file for bankruptcy, which means that their profits are low, revenues are low, expenses are probably still just as high. I don't know if maybe COVID was like a big issue. I feel like brands that are like more online, so like, what's an online brand? Anything that's kind of like trendy or more high-end, I feel like those are brands that you usually would get online. I feel like drugstore brands struggled during COVID because they're the kind of brands where you like walk into, obviously for us it's like Boots or Superdrug, or in the States I'm assuming it's like CVS, or what else do you guys have? Some kind of a drugstore. The drugstore brands are like, you walk in, you're buying a deodorant and you see a powder and you're like, oh, let me pick one up. But because of COVID, everything was shut, so I feel like less people went to drugstores and less people bought drugstore products. I don't know though, you guys let me know why you think BH Cosmetics is struggling. I think maybe they just, one, lack of social media impact, and then two, I feel like COVID probably didn't really help much. But BH Cosmetics filed for bankruptcy. That's a brand that I believe fell off in 2021. Another one, Jeffree Star Cosmetics. I know I've talked about Jeffree Star Cosmetics before, but I feel like now, like end of 2021 was really like a definitive, like, he has fallen off. Obviously Jeffree Star is out of drama now, out of scandals. Not that that makes him a good person, because it doesn't. He has a lot that he's done, like enough for a few lifetimes. I'm glad he's staying out of it now. Like, no scandals, no drama. He lives on a yak farm with his yaks in Wyoming, living the farm life, and he has basically just like stopped releasing new products. And when he does, they're not really announced. There's no really like a big video production situation to announce it. He just kind of drops something, and if it sells out, it sells out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But just like BH Cosmetics, whenever I did my sale video thing, Jeffree Star was always on a sale, and that was always like 30% plus. So like sometimes it would be 50%, 40%, 30%. So if I was still a Jeffree Star fan, I once again just would not buy things full price ever, because I would know for a fact that things would go half price at most, or 30% at the least. And his products don't really sell out anymore. There used to be this like need to buy his stuff on launch because his products always sold out, but now nothing really sells out, and the things that are up on sale, so you can really get them on a huge discount. I think his brand's fallen off, and I would not be surprised if he actually ended up shutting down Jeffree Star Cosmetics. I personally wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it's something that he needs anymore. He's got his yak farm. He makes money from yak products, I believe. I believe he's trademarked some yak product related stuff. So he could end up just doing like his yak life. But I just don't think YouTube, social media, or Jeffree Star Cosmetics is a huge part of his life anymore. Like, I don't think that's what his focus is. So I feel like for that reason, Jeffree Star Cosmetics has fallen off. Another one. So this is something that we've been talking about for probably 3 years now. Definitely 2, but possibly 3. ABH / Novena has, at this point, I feel like they have just fallen off. Now, they have had some redeeming products, and I'm going to put them on the list of like, could make a comeback? Question mark. But okay, so Novena, I don't think is making a comeback. But then again, I don't know. There are some inconsistencies in formula for Novena. I'll start with Novena because it's like an easier thing. I just don't think Novena is as successful as ABH. Like as a brand, not as people, as a brand. I don't think it's as successful. I don't think people rave about the products quite as much as they did about ABH. The palettes are also inconsistent. So there's those small ones, but then there's those big ones. And I've tried one of the big ones, and then I just gave the other big one away without even trying it out, I think. Or maybe I still have it somewhere, but I just still haven't tried it out. Anyway, I had the pink one, which was hot garbage. Did not blend, did not do anything that was supposed to do. And then I haven't tried the orange and green one, but maybe that one's better, I don't know. But then recently, they released this purple one, and it actually had raving reviews. And I was like this close to buying it, but then I really thought about it, and I was like, 1, I'm not like a huge fan of purple eyeshadow. Like if I have it, I have it. If I don't, I don't. 2, it's a £60 palette. 3, it's a risk because I already bought 2 of these and I don't like them. Why would I try again? Like at this point, just spare my wallet. Why would I try again? I have Colourpop purple palettes that work just as well, probably. And I could create a look that looks exactly the same. So why would I need to do that? Anyways, I just never ended up buying it, but it did get really good reviews. But after that, like no one really talked about it. It was like this like one-off like blip where it was like, oh, this palette's really good. And then a week later, like no one's talking about it anymore. It's not in favorites videos. It doesn't exist. So I was just like, how good was it? Was it like an outstanding palette, or was it just like, oh, this one's better than all the other ones? Which like, good, but it's a £60 palette. Is good enough? I'm not really sure. But anyway, so I don't think Novena's making a comeback. I think they should shut that part of the company down, because I feel like they're putting money into something that isn't what it needs to be. Do you know what I mean? Unless they just like revamp it and like make it a little bit better, I'm not sure. ABH recently released this Primrose palette that I actually have, and I think the formula is very similar to the original ABH formula that we all loved. The Soft Glam, the Modern Renaissance formula. I think it's a little bit more difficult to work with. I think the mattes are really good. I think the shimmers can be quite difficult to work with. You can definitely create that ugly foiled wrinkly eyelid look if you're not careful, whereas with old ABH palettes you could never do that. Like you could never overdo the shimmers. You could just keep on applying, and they would just keep on applying. These ones are like a weird almost gelée formula, like they're a bit like wet, so they end up doing that crusty thing if you're not careful. But then they also kind of behave like a powder where they fall out a lot if you apply. You can't like pick up a little bit. Like they just pick up. One of them also came cracked for me, or 2 of them. So they're like pressed very softly because they're a bit wet. It's a very nice palette though. I just haven't used it much. It's very nice. It's giving the same vibes as the old ABH palettes, but it's not the old ABH palette. It also has 2 face shades in there, which like just never makes sense for me, because you want the eyeshadow palette to be used by a variety of people. But now you add in a blush and a bronzer that can only be used by a specific group of people, which then just means that no one else is going to buy the eyeshadow palette, because why would they just want this like blush and bronzer that they can't use? But 2, if you end up using it as just eyeshadow, then you've got this like random pink and random brown in like huge, it just didn't make sense for me. I think the only way ABH can make a comeback from this is if they release one of those old suede palettes and they do the exact same formula that they did before. I mean, don't change anything. Same mattes, same shimmer formula. I don't want to see anything change. I want the problematic suede packaging that is going to get dirty. I want to feel 2015 in a palette, but just with new shade concepts. And until I see a 2022 color story with 2015 formulas, I think ABH is on a decline. And I think that's the only thing that could save it at this point. I think what held us to ABH for so long was the collector's mindset, right? Like all the palettes look the same. So you wanted all of them, so your collection would look really nice. And then they started switching things up, like with the Amazing palette having 2 extra shades. It was longer than the other palettes, and it was glittery as well. And then I think it was Jackie Aina's palette, Carly Bible's palette, and the Riviera palette weren't suede, which was fine because they're all still the same size and shape. But at this point, it all started changing a little bit, like shifting a little bit. And then Amazing's one was glittery and longer. And now they released this one, which is slimmer, longer, but it also has these face shades in there. I think go back to what worked for you, and maybe that collector's mindset will kick in for us again, where we'll like make your brand successful again. But until then, I just feel like ABH every single year is just on a steady decline. However, Anastasia herself has made herself a TikTok, and she has been doing some funny content on there. That could be a saving grace. If she starts to bring some of these products back and then slightly reformulating them to make them 2022 products, I think she could have some TikTok success. But that's a big if. Anyway, that's my opinions on ABH and Novena. Ofra, fallen off like not many brands have fallen off. So if you guys don't know the deal, Ofra is a brand that used to work with a lot of influencers. A lot of people had codes, a lot of people had collabs, small influencers, big influencers. And then towards the end of 2020, beginning of 2021, they started working with a lot of smaller influencers, which people appreciated because there's not many brands, like bigger brands that work with smaller influencers. It's always like small influencer, indie brand, big influencer, big brand. But Ofra is a pretty big brand. I think they're still indie, but they're a huge brand. And they started working with these like small influencers on lip products and highlights and eyeshadows and just different things. Their highlighters are some of the most famous highlighters in the game, along with like Becca. I think Becca C-Pop and Ofra Rodeo Drive are like, if you hear those names, immediately 2016 Instagram. Like immediately, I'm just brought back to like Jaclyn Hill spraying her highlighter brush with like a setting spray and then just piling on the highlight. Like I'm just there. I can like smell it, I can feel it, I can touch it. Do you know what I mean? Like Ofra is just like, it has a special place. However, that special place was tarnished when we found out that the owners are big Trumpies. Now, I'm not here to talk about politics. But you know, we both know. I feel like people get very touchy-feely about politics, and with the current state of politics being the way it is, it's not great. Do you know what I mean? Politics is very difficult. But when people found out that the owners are Trumpies, they weren't very happy. And since then, I haven't bought from Ofra. People haven't supported Ofra. People haven't talked about Ofra. People have cancelled their affiliate links with Ofra. When I see Ofra on Beauty Bay, I just do a very quick like swipe. I'm leaving. I don't want to be here anymore. They're on sale a lot. This is a case of like not boring products that killed them, but just big controversy, mainly politics controversies. That's how So I don't think Ofra's coming back from that unless they change ownership and they have like different owners come in. I think if they like sold the brand to someone else, I think they could maybe make a comeback. But as of right now, the way it stands with them still being owners, I just don't think it's gonna happen. Yeah, I just have a very icky feeling about Ofra now. Like I have a few Ofra products, not many. I think I have like one highlight and one blush, but I actually ended up taking them out of the single packagings. They're like magnetic, you can like poke them in the back, and I put them into a separate Z palette so that I don't see that it's Ofra and I don't feel icky about it. And I just haven't like showed it in videos because I just think it's like Anyway, moving on. Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics. This is a weird one because I think it's still a brand new brand. It's still like a new brand, so it's still like up and coming, but I think they're slowly falling off. Like I think at the beginning people were just curious, like so they would buy the product to maybe film a video about it or post a tweet. Like if something was like, Lipstick Gate, a lot of views went around, a lot of likes and retweets. I feel like at the start, people were kind of like, oh, maybe there'll be like another scandal. And when it turned out that her products are neither like awful or amazing, they're just like kind of neutral, people just kind of got bored because like there was no scandal, but there was also no like, oh my God, raving reviews. She released liquid lipsticks in 2021. I almost forgot what date it is. released liquid lipsticks in 2021, which, like, I get it for COVID, absolutely, but I feel like liquid lipsticks are just not what people are excited about anymore. We've kind of figured out that that formula is not the best for your lips. There were lip liners as well, which are apparently really nice, but how many lip liners do you need? And also cheap lip liners do the job just fine. Recently, complexion products, they did not get good reviews. I watched a few, and even Jacqueline's friends, like Manny MUA and a bunch of people that she sent PR to, just did not give it a raving review. The skin tint is apparently kind of mediocre for the price, and the concealer has been like really bad. Like, it looks not great on camera. So like, complexion products weren't that good. She released a summer collection that gave her a lot of shit, because she released bronzes in, I believe, 5 or 6 shades, but they all look the same. So like, they basically just fit people that look like me, and that's it. So that wasn't great. And then we had obviously Lipstick Gate, which wasn't the best. We had some, I think the only successful launch was the blush launch. We had the stick blushes, and then the like blush palettes, which I thought were really great. Like, they covered a lot of skin tones. They were cool tones and warm tones separately, so you don't have to buy them together, because usually if you like cool tones, you like cool tones. If you like warm tones, you like warm tones. You don't really want to mix them together. That was a successful launch. She also had the blush highlight duos, which people gave okay reviews, I guess, but her brand isn't anything exciting. Now, it's falling off. However, recently she announced that she'll be relaunching her bullet lipsticks. That could either be the complete downfall of Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics, or a complete redeeming of Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics. If those bullet lipsticks end up good... Anyway, if she launches those bullet lipsticks, I know I'm on a no-buy, but I think it constitutes a video. But I think it requires a video. Like, I'm on a no-buy, but it requires a video to buy a few of those lipsticks and do a video. So that'll be my, like, no-buy exemption. I'll buy those lipsticks and I'll do a review, because that could be like a huge turning point for Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics. But as of right now, I just think it's on a bit of a decline. Sorry. Anyway, then we have the last brand that I'll talk about for today, because it's getting a bit long. I have a few more, but I'll see what you guys say, and then I'll compile a new list for next time. Too Faced. I know for a fact that Too Faced is not going bankrupt. I know for a fact that they're still getting good sales, because they're in Sephora, maybe Ulta, either one of those. We don't have either of those shops here, so I'm actually not sure. But they're in one of those big shops. So whenever someone walks in, they buy the Better Than Sex mascara, or the Chocolate Soleil bronzer, or they buy the Born This Way foundation, or the Born This Way concealer, or they buy the liquid lipsticks, or the extreme plumping lip glosses, which actually became a trend on TikTok a few months ago. I know they're doing fine. But in the grand scheme of YouTube, social media, I think the only thing they had recently, like I said, were the extreme plumping lip glosses, but that's a trend. It came and went. No one uses the Better Than Sex mascara anymore on YouTube. People are not raving about it on YouTube or on social media. The Born This Way foundation has kind of come and go. No one really talks about the chocolate bronzers anymore. Like, everything that used to be a craze is just not anymore. Those metal tin palettes, people have just found substitutes that they like more. They've come out with really boring things lately, just things that are repetitive. They all look the same. They're all a bit gimmicky and a little bit childish, so maybe that's their demographic now. I'm not really sure, but I just think Too Faced is on a decline. It's a brand that's fallen off in the grand scheme of social media. I just don't think it is what it used to be, because I remember when I started watching the beauty side of YouTube, Too Faced was like the it brand. If you wanted something, it was from Too Faced. I bought so much Too Faced when I first started buying makeup, because it was just like this new like thing. And then I realized the makeup is kind of mediocre. And since then, they haven't released anything amazing, anything outstanding. The only good thing that I would still recommend from Too Faced is this palette, wherever it is on the screen. This palette is my favorite palette. If I was... This is difficult. If we take out Pat McGrath, Natasha Denona, and Charlotte Tilbury out of the mix completely, they're like sacred brands that I don't want to talk about right now. If you take them out of the mix, if I had to leave my house with one palette and like nothing else, that would be the palette. That Too Faced palette right there is stunning, incredible, amazing. The formula is fantastic. I think it just works well. That's it. Everything else, and for that reason exactly, I think Too Faced has fallen off. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Subscribe, hit that bell, like, comment for engagement, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.